the difference in the driver talent between being able to adapt and also using that experience from previous years as well. So yeah, it's one of those cool things. And the even better bit is we get to see the Cup cars come onto the dirt as well in 2021 when they head to Bristol next year.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Some of the best news I've heard in a while coming out of the American racing scene. Will Lebowski obviously ran a dirt race at Bristol Motor Speedway at the turn of the millennium, and that was a roaring success. Can't wait to see the Cup Series cars on dirt next year. But we got to turn our attention to the trucks here with the pace truck up ahead getting ready to pull into the pits. Hayden Russell on the inside front row is going to take the start once they pass the control line. The green flag is going to fly right now. And we're racing at Eldora, putting that power down to the ground. And you can already see just how much the weight of these trucks factors in as Trent Gosley pushes a bit too hard into the turn and lets Brenton Hobson go on his inside up into turn 3. Lewis Clark using the dirt down on the bottom of the circuit to try and get back at Hayden Russell. He's on the inside coming into turn 1, and that's going to be the lead for Lewis Clark. But you see Hayden Russell, Trent Gosley, and down at the back of the field is Scott Griffiths, all using that high line, but everyone else going low because that is where most of the grip is at the moment.
Yeah, the freshest part of the track seems to be down on the middle and the bottom side of the racetrack, but that top side does have a lot of momentum, and that was a huge impact for Bradley Minster. Oh.
Yeah, goodness me, went straight into the wall, committed to the turn a bit too early. He's rolling though, so we continue racing as this leaders are side by side coming across the line. Russell takes the lead back, powering around the outside of Lewis Clark. Fantastic to see. These heats are 8 laps, by the way, and we're about to come up to half race distance. Another great throttle application from Hayden Russell as they pass Bradley Minshall down there on the bottom line. Brenton Hobson up into third now, and he's really pressuring this top 2 as coming together. Trent Gosley and Jacob Dixon. Gosley's been sent up into the wall.
Yeah, a little bit of a hip and shoulder there for Trent Gosley. Good thing about these trucks is they're actually very, very strong as well, so you can kind of get away with bouncing off the walls as Gosley and Dixon come together again on the front straight, and again Dixon in the wall with Vickers, so it's not gone well there.
No, it definitely has not. Trent Gosley's going to miss out on a feature transfer spot here. The top 4 transfer through to the feature, and we're looking at that top 4 right now. It's Russell from Clark, from Hobson, from John Schultz. And we're right on board with Hobbo 88. Great view here, and showing just how much wheel work is needed to get one of these trucks around Eldora. These cars usually race on paved oval tracks, so they're built for that. But they hitch up these treaded tires to them and smash them around Eldora for a bit, and they wind on the opposite lock through the corners. We're on the final lap though, so we're going to be getting a finish pretty soon. Russell hanging out the rear. Lewis Clark almost bumping him around, but just backing out of it. Down to the inside goes Russell. Hobson for second. Let's see if he gets the throttle application down. No, it looks like he's got the momentum across the line as Lewis Clark, as Mr. Hayden Russell takes victory just up ahead. And John Schultz completes the top 4. That was a fun race to start off the night.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was reasonably close, a little bit closer than what we probably thought it was going to be. So, yeah, really, really good to see, and not a bad way to start the night off at all.
Certainly not. One heat is done. Now we move straight on through into the second heat. It's another 9-car grid for this one. It's headed up by Dylan DeBono and Harry Stewart as we take a look at the results from that first heat of the night. Behind DeBono and Stewart, it's Darcy Wilson and Clayton Davies who line up on the second row of the grid with Clayton Tilley and Caden Brown behind them. Nathan Clark and Tyler Bish on the 4th row with Daniel Gow, the lone car, on row 5. Now, Harry Stewart coming off a pretty strong drive in the opening round of the series at Kokomo. He suffered some bad luck, but from second, showing that in the first heat in particular, you can really hold the outside and power out. I think Harry Stewart's in a pretty good position here if he doesn't allow DeBono to get away.
Yeah, he certainly is, and a very solid position as well. And being able to use that high line as well to give you a bit of a momentum on the exit of the corner should be able to help him in that respect, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But that bottom side of the racetrack does seem to have a little bit of grip down there through the middle of the corner and on the way in. So might be able to see a few slide jobs, but nevertheless, it's going to be a really, really good race.
It certainly is, and you will probably notice as we go on through the night that no one is driving the Ford F-150. They've just jumped into the Toyota Tundra and the Chevrolet Silverado for this one. So we got one American brand and the Japanese brand represented, but Henry has taken a day off. Green flag time though. Dylan DeBono puts down the power and leads them away across the start-finish line. A good start also from Stewart, hooked it up pretty well, has to go to the outside. Darcy Wilson trying his best to maintain that, but there goes Stewart with a great exit and gives Dylan DeBono a bump for his troubles. So Stewart already on the warpath here.
Yeah, he certainly is, and he's running right up against the outside fence. He's got Darcy Wilson for company on the inside as well, and the highline starting to work a little bit in Stewart's favour, but he just can't quite seem to make it work as much as he needs to at the moment.
Down to the inside there goes Hayden Brown, and Darcy Wilson still trying to protect that second place from Harry Stewart. He gets the advantage into the corners, but on the exit, Stewart is supreme. And up into the lead, Dylan DeBono seems like he's not having much trouble from these guys behind him. They're a bit too involved with themselves at the moment. Wilson, though, running side by side on the exit with Stewart still there. This race is certainly not going to be over until the very final corner, and we're about to go over half race distance. So Stewart still stuck up on the outside line. He gets the run on Clayton Tilley, who currently occupies 4th spot. Stewart and Mr. Tilley are going to have to be careful because Mr. Brown and Nathan Clark, oh no, Caden Brown and Nathan Clark come together, and that's Caden Brown around. The moment I mentioned them, I put the commentator's curse on them. And Clayton Davies, an innocent victim in all of that as well. So Caden Brown all the way to the back of the grid as we have a look at the back of Harry Stewart. And getting up the inside of him now is Clayton Tilley into the first turn as Darcy Wilson continues pressuring Dylan DeBono.
Yeah, and a slide job there from Tilley on Stewart, but Stewart's going to come back at him on the crossover on the way into turn number 3. And Darcy really applying a lot of pressure to the back of DeBono here. Not quite seemingly having just enough pace at the moment, but still putting a lot of pressure on, and it's nearly a 4-way fight. Nearly 5 cars, actually, for the race of the lead.
This is a great battle for third between Tilley and Stewart. Tilley doing very well to hook up the outside run, and Stewart actually gets into the wall, so he's going to lose a little bit of time out of that one. He's now almost fallen outside the top 4. He's going to have to work it out with Nathan Clark here in the number 8. They've only got half a lap to go, though, and Stewart, I think, might be safe. Dives down to the inside to cover. But for Dylan DeBono, looks like he almost has this down. No, he doesn't. Darcy Wilson comes up the inside at the exit of the final corner to take the win in the heat. That was a last moment thing. Goodness me.
Yeah, just clipped the inside wall on the slide job, did Dylan DeBono on the exit of 4, and unfortunately unsettled his run and pretty much gave Darcy Wilson the win overall. So, yeah, really, really good heads-up bit of driving there from Darcy to end up taking the win there.
Yeah, so Wilson from DeBono, from Tilley, your top 3, and Harry Stewart is going to join them in the feature up there. Nathan Clark, Daniel Gow, Davies, Bish, and Brown, unfortunately, going to have to go through the consolations. So we move on through to the third heat of the night. This is going to be the third of 4, and it's an 8-car grid for this one. It's headed up by Ethan Bastian and Bob King, with Brad O'Brien and Kane Della on the row behind them. Mitchell Broom, Nathan Norman, row 3, with Luke Payton and Josh Barry, 7th and 8th. Bastian versus King, that is quite the front row, but Brad O'Brien is certainly no slouch, and Kane Della showed that he has what it takes to win in ODSE last round as well. So I'm looking forward to this top 4 fight.
Yeah, it's certainly a very stacked top 4 at the moment, with those top 4 drivers well and truly in with a shot of going through to the feature and winning this heat as well, and probably can't count out Mitchell Broom or Nathan Norman either. So really, really good heat, and really looking forward to seeing who's going to come out on top of this one.
Yes, indeed. One less car than in Heat 1 and Heat 2, but the action is certainly the same, because this circuit, nice and wide, Eldora Speedway, with a bit more extreme banking further up the top of the circuit, really allows for great side-by-side running, as we've seen throughout the course of the night so far. In comes the pace truck, and the start will be taken by Ethan Bastian instantly. Didn't hang back much from the pace truck. They're all away, and Bastian right down to the inside, as is Brad O'Brien, trying to get one up on Bob King, but both he and Kane Della get into the wall up the top, help them on the exit down the straight, and King goes for the slide job now here on Ethan Bastian. Is it going to work out for him? Bastian has the throttle application on the outside, but it looks like King, with one final slide job, tries to get ahead. Bastian, though, wise to it and hooks it up again on the inside. More contact between the two of them as we have a slight technical issue there, but Bob King shuffled up into the wall now, and Brad O'Brien up into second. This is a very tight fight for the top positions.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Bob King's decided to go up to the top side of the racetrack to see if he can make that work, and it seems to be working for him a little bit there to get a good run on the car of Brad O'Brien, but he's up in the outside fence again on the way through turn number 3, and that's going to check him up a little bit behind, but he's going to still have pretty good pace through 1 and 2 now.
Yeah, we'll see Brad O'Brien may have to... Oh, there goes King down to the inside onto the fresh dirt to get the position back on O'Brien. He's thinking, nah, the outside just isn't working on entry. Let's go to the inside. The number 96 of Nathan Norman sees that and wants to get into the mix as well, have a bit of a bite of the cherry. But Bob King through then into second place, at least for the time being. Mitchell Broom, meanwhile, has been black flagged, and we see Josh Payton retired in the pits. I don't know what Mitchell Broom was black flagged for, but I think it might have something to do with the reason why Payton's in the pits.
It's very possible. He was involved in an incident down the back straight a little bit earlier on, which did involve Josh Barry and also Luke Payton, but nevertheless, it's going to be what it is for Mitchell Broom. But at the moment, Brad O'Brien is still trying to find a way into the race lead, as Ethan Bastian is doing everything he needs to, holding the bottom side at the moment.
Yes, indeed. Meanwhile, Della and King behind them fight just the same. We're on board with Bob King, and you see Kane Della up there on the top line, and both of our top line cars into the outside wall, and King gets onto the inside wall as well. He's completely lost touch with them now, and it's the final lap. So Nathan Norman could have a look in here for an easy feature spot. But up the front, Ethan Bastian goes for the inside move on Brad O'Brien. Is that going to be enough for him to take victory? O'Brien tries holding it round the outside, and he's just ahead at the line. Brad O'Brien wins the third heat of the night from Ethan Bastian by less than 1/10 of a second, and it's Kane Della in third, Bob King in fourth, all of them straight through to the feature.
Yeah, 85 hundredths was the gap between the top two at the line between Brad O'Brien and Ethan Bastian. So very, very close finish there, but nevertheless, Heat 4 is ready and rocking to roll.
It is indeed, and one more 8-car grid here before we get into the consolations and the feature. Ashton Manif and Lewis Hewitt on the front row here, with Aaron Kelly and Bradley Oldfield behind them. Gavin Sadler and Aston Hurley 5th and 6th, and the field is rounded out by Max Lumsden and Billy Ryan. Now, Lewis Hewitt in that second place start. He is one of the drivers that you most want to look out for in a field like this, but he's got some pretty stiff competition. Bradley Oldfield starting just behind him. Gavin Sadler, Aston Hurley, Max Lumsden, Aaron Kelly. All of these drivers have a chance of taking it, and you can't discount Ashton Manif either. Starting on the inside front row, he's going to have the advantage off the start.
Yeah, he certainly is going to have the advantage off the start, but it seems to be that the high line seems to be working quite well through 1 and 2 at the moment, so might not be at a total advantage, but we'll have to wait and see. He's definitely got some very, very competitive company behind him, with the likes of Hewitt, Kelly, Oldfield, Sadler, Hurley, and Lumsden, all willing to try and at least send one up the inside or try and make it their way by.
Interested to see how Billy Ryan goes from the back row as well. Certainly stands a chance to gain if there's a few incidents in this heat. Will we see him in the transfer spot for the feature? We'll find out pretty shortly, because in comes the pace truck on the second and final formation lap. Ashton Manif goes. Barney is ready, and the green flag flies. Racing again here at Eldora, and Manif covers off Hewitt nicely into turn 1. Inside wall hit, though, for Max Lumsden. He's already carrying damage on that truck. Side by side for second place, Lewis Hewitt and Aaron Kelly. Kelly tries shoving one up the inside of Ashton Manif. A little bit of rear-end contact between the two of them. They bump each other around down on the inside, and Hewitt tries to take advantage up the top. Look at the number 99 of Aston Hurley. He's trying to squeeze through here on the inside, and it looks like he might just take it 4 wide down the back straight. That's what we like to see.
Oh, and 4 wide in the corner too. Nearly going to make it 5 wide, in fact. This is absolutely awesome racing coming together down the front straight. Are those two as well as Aston Hurley launches it up the inside, but barely going to be able to hold on to it.
Hewitt again with the throttle application up the inside, gets it done, just avoids grazing the inside wall, and Bradley Oldfield follows him through. That's Aston Hurley. He's been turned around by Gavin Sadler down on the inside. Both of those cars at a stop on the racetrack, but it looks like they've managed to get rolling again. Bradley Oldfield now into the lead of the race, but Lewis Hewitt on his outside.
Trying that outside line as best as he can. He's going to cut it down to the inside, though, to get the exit, and they're going to be 4 wide on the exit of turn number 4, and Hewitt's going to take this race lead. It's on the way into turn 1, gets a bit of a bump from Aaron Kelly on the way by, but barely managing to recover that one, and Bradley Oldfield's going to take the lead.
Yeah, well, it looks like Hewitt disadvantaged massively by that hit. 3 wide again across the front stretch. Aaron Kelly, Lewis Hewitt, and Ashton Manif all side by side there, but any of these drivers could potentially win this. If there's a mistake for Oldfield up the front, well, they're slowing each other up now, so Oldfield's getting a good gap, but one mistake from him, and these 5 other drivers in contention. It's a 5-way battle for second place. I don't think I've seen this in my entire time commentating dirt sim racing. They've only got a lap to go after this one, though, and Hewitt up the inside of Aaron Kelly into turn 3. Kelly tags the outside fence for his troubles, but switches down to the inside to get Lewis Hewitt back. It's white flag for our race leader, Bradley Oldfield. Aaron Kelly is going to have to hook up the throttle here versus Lewis Hewitt. But Hewitt with the inside line again for turns 3 and 4. Can he take that second place? No, he gets into the wall and is shuffled out of the top 4. Bradley Oldfield takes victory. Aaron Kelly in second. It's going to be Ashton Manif and Billy Ryan. There we go. He managed to get into the top 4 at the end of it, thanks to that mistake from Lewis Hewitt.
Certainly, I wouldn't have said Lewis Hewitt was going to be ending up in the B main or the C main or the B main, but nevertheless, it's happened. And yeah, what a crazy race that was.
Yeah, certainly. So your top 4 at the end of that one, it's going to be trying my best to get that up, but it seems like my timing is not cooperating with me. So we're going to move on into the C main then. It's going to be Jacob Dixon and Nathan Norman on the front row of this one. Trent Gosley starts in third alongside Josh Barry. Hayden, Vickers, and Mitchell Broom on the third row of the grid, with Scott Griffiths and Luke Payton 7th and 8th. The 9th and final car in this C main is Bradley Minshall. There is the grid. All of these drivers not able to make it into the top 4 in their heats. And the top 4 from this one also goes straight through to the feature. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that 4th place spot.
Certainly, it's a pretty competitive field as well. So that 4th spot's going to be hotly contested, if not those top 5 in general. So yeah, it's going to be very, very competitive, and really looking forward to seeing what happens here, and it'll be interesting to see who comes away with this one.
It's an all Toyota front row here with Dixon and Norman up at the front, and looks like majority of the trucks in this race are Toyotas, if not getting split completely down the middle. Chevrolet and Toyota. I'm counting, or actually no, I'm counting. Yeah, there's only 2 Chevys and 6 Toyotas in this field. It's a bit difficult to tell from a distance what the brand is with all of the liveries that you put on these cars, but at the end of the day, it seems like the Toyota is the most popular option among this field. They are staying a bit behind the pace truck as it gets ready to pull in. And we've got to remember this is technically a B main. It's double B mains for this event format. So even though it says C main, it's technically B main number 1. We are away though. Good start from Dixon. Also a good start from Trent Gosley to get one up the inside of Nathan Norman coming into the first turn. But have a look at the number 20 of Josh Barry. He's looking to capitalize on all of this as well as we ride on board with Dixon coming into turn 3. They're right on the edge of grip there, just exceeding it, 3 wide across the front stretch, and there goes Mr. Nathan Norman into the lead of the race, and that's a turn. That is going to be Mitchell Broom turning around Josh Barry. Barry all the way at the back of this field now, and it looks like he's not going to have much of a chance of getting into the feature from here.
Josh Barry to end up in that position and ending up being spun in both of his races so far, so he's not had a good night at all. But it's on for the lead of the races. Jacob Dixon is taking the lead back off the car of Nathan Norman as they head on the way through turn number 3. Norman not giving this one up though.
No, certainly not. Norman is pressuring Jacob Dixon at every single opportunity, and this battling is helping Trent Gosley to come up to the back of these guys as well. Norman straightens out the exit. You see he gets a bit more momentum off the corner onto the straight, but looks like Jacob Dixon covering the middle line very nicely. You notice he's just below the groove coming through the corners. You see that that compacted dark clay? Well, Nathan Norman looking back at Trent Gosley as he pursues. Gosley is running right up against the wall. The groove obviously not hurting him there, but we see the top 2 dipping just below it where the fresh clay is.
Just dipping into where they want to be. There's just a very thin strip up near that mid to top section between where it's really slick and where it's starting to just start to slick off. So they're running right on the edge of losing traction, but having just enough grip at the moment. But you can see in the background as well, Trent Gosley running the top side of the track actually quite nicely and not doing too bad of a job as well. He's actually starting to catch these guys as well. So might actually need to get a move on guys at the front.
Yes, indeed. Coming up to the end of lap 7 of 12, and that's an inside move from Nathan Norman. Can he get the throttle application down? No, the corner radius just too tight, but if he can stick it on the inside, maybe force Jacob Dixon up onto the slick, then he might get an advantage. But that attempted move has brought Gosley right into this now. It's a 3-way fight for the win of this first B main of the night. Have a look at the run from Trent Gosley down the straight. Hooks it up really nicely as Norman and Dixon continue battling. Just below him, there is a slight lack of momentum from Nathan Norman on the inside. That means that Gosley's been able to get it. Gosley's trying to straighten out the exit, and they're going to almost go 3 wide on the start-finish straight. Tell you what, Nathan Norman, little bit of a wild card here. He's protecting that inside line and working it really nicely. He's able to stay with these guys, but I feel like Trent Gosley and Jacob Dixon just have the edge over him here.
Certainly do just barely have the advantage over him at the moment, and that top side really starting to come back into its own at this stage with how quick the likes of Dixon and Gosley are running compared to Nathan Norman. Norman with a 9.5 last time by. It was actually an equal lap time by Trent Gosley last time by, but it was an 8.3 for Jacob Dixon, so it's pretty close at the front, but it's on for the final transfer spot because Luke Payton is all over the back of Hayden Vickers.
Yeah, that he is, and they're fighting hard for the final transfer spot, though it looks like Vickers has the advantage there. A bit of a half spin from Luke Payton, killing his momentum. But up the front, Jacob Dixon has the gap. Gosley is going to take second there over Nathan Norman. So that's your top 3, and Hayden Vickers comes across the line to complete the top 4. That was a great race between the top 3. Gosley just pipping Norman at the line there and nabbing him by 0.3 of a second. Unfortunately, we're going to have to say goodbye to Luke Payton, Mitchell Broom, Josh Barry, Scott Griffiths, and Bradley Minshall. Griffiths and Minshall looked like didn't even make it past lap 1. That's a big shame for them, but we're going to move on into the second B main of the night. The top 4 from this one go through to the feature as well. It's headed up by Nathan Clark and Lewis Hewitt once again. Daniel Gow, Max Lumsden lining up 3rd and 4th. And along with them, Clayton Davies Gavin Sadler, Tyler Bish, Aston Hurley, and Caden Brown. All of the drivers in this second B main of the night here at Eldora Speedway. Now, Nathan Clark and Lewis Hewitt, no strangers to podiums here. Nathan Clark taking third place at, no, my apologies, I think it was Lewis Clark that took third place last round, first round of the season. But we're about to start the second formation lap here, and it's looking like reasonable pacing from the drivers, but the slick line is really starting to cover the entire circuit. As you can see here in this shot, the pace truck's going to come in pretty soon, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be slim pickings for grip out there with the amount of track that the drivers have been using throughout the night. So Nathan Clark now putting down the throttle at the exact right time, controlling the wheel spin. Is Lewis Hewitt wise to him? Looks like he is. Pretty level with him there at the start as they shift up through the gears. Racing once again at Eldora Speedway. Daniel Gow protecting third place on the middle line, but looks like Max Lumsden going to try and pressure him around the outside as Hewitt goes into the lead, up the inside into 3 and 4.
Yeah, he's going to have the lead very easily as Hewitt at the moment, but he's going to have Nathan Clark coming back at him on the way into turn number 1 with a slide trip up the inside, and Hewitt's going to have to back that one out and drive it back underneath him on the way out of turn number 2, which he does to retake the lead of this race, and it's all on though, just behind, 4 wide for nearly the final transfer spot.
Yeah, goodness me. Clayton Davies currently sits in 4th, but he's got a 4-way fight behind him trying to take it. Oh, who is in that? Aston Hurley, Max Lumsden, Caden Brown, and Tyler Bish all there at the rear of the field wanting that 4th place. Oh, a bit of a wall hit there for Caden Brown. Gets up into the fence, and the entire field is still together. I can't believe this. We're 4 laps in. We haven't seen a big crash just yet, touchwood. Side by side for the lead again. Into the wall goes Daniel Gow. He still occupies 3rd place, but Gavin Sadler vaulting it up the inside, trying to get the transfer spot. There's contact in the back. They go almost 4 wide again. Aston Hurley bumped out of the way along with Tyler Bish.
2 teammates coming together a little bit there, but still certainly on for that final transfer spot. Clayton Davies was all over the back of Daniel Gow. Into the wall a little bit was Davies, but now Gavin Sadler is going to be involved in this. 3 wide down through turn number 4, and on the inside it's going to be Clayton Davies to retake that position, but he's going to have both Gow and also Sadler drive it back underneath him.
Yeah, well, at least Gow at the very least. Sadler's going to have to go for the entry pass if he wants that to work. Gow riding the wall magnificently there up the top as the top 2 continue to battle, starting the 7th lap of 12 in this one. Looks like Hewitt has the measure of Clark, but Daniel Gow is holding back a big push from all the drivers behind him. Caden Brown now up into 5th place, and now it is 4th because Clayton Davies messing up the middle of the circuit there and having to fall back. Aston Hurley's going to get him potentially down at the 3rd turn as well. Down to the inside goes Daniel Gow, and that's going to be Caden Brown almost getting past on the inside, but holds the outside line once again. It is a 3-way fight for the 3rd and 4th places. Clayton Davies and Aston Hurley, some of the big players here trying to get past Daniel Gow.
Yes, certainly they are trying everything they possibly can, and Davies into the wall again, just knocking that wall down with the right rear, but he's managed to barely get ahead across the line that time by. That's all he needs when he gets to the final lap, but it's very, very close at the moment as Gow's starting to drop back a little bit, trying to run that bottom side, which doesn't seem to be working all that well at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like the top line has come back into contention there because Clayton Davies is getting him on just about every corner exit, and it looks like he might be able to get him at the end of this final lap, but we'll see what happens. Lewis Hewitt up the front has not looked back since taking the lead of this one. Just gets into the wall slightly, does Daniel Gow. We'll see what happens. The top 2 is going to be Hewitt and Clark. Brown in 3rd, but it's going to be Clayton Davies who takes 4th place. Aston Hurley just beating Daniel Gow to the line there. No, I've called it a lap too early. My apologies. It's going to be the top two, Hewitt and Clark, with Brown in third and Clayton Davies in fourth. That's a big hit from Daniel Gow on Aston Hurley, but they crossed the line.
They barely managed to make it across the line in the end, but fortunately, they're not quite going to be making it through to the feature.
Well, those are the results then for the final B main of the night. Hewitt, Clark, Brown, and Davies, your top four. They're all going to go through into the feature. Aston Hurley, Daniel Gow, Tyler Bish, Max Lumsden, and Gavin Sadler, unfortunately, not going to make it through. They're going home. But we'd like it if they stayed at the track for a bit longer so that they can have a view of what this feature is going to be like. And we hope you stick around for it too. It's going to be fantastic. Eldora Speedway in the trucks. This is the Buffalo Motors Wheelman Challenge run by Oceanic Dirt Sim Events. We'll be back in just a second here on SimSpeed TV. You're watching the Buffalo Motors 2020 Wheelman Challenge by Oceanic Dirt Sim Events. The promo you just saw is a great promo for one of the newest tracks here on iRacing and a bit of a teaser for where we're going next week, Weed Sport Speedway. I have loved that circuit since it was dropped in the most recent build. Next week, this series is going to be racing there in the Dirt Midgets. It's a fun little track, Weed Sport, isn't it, Cam? 4 distinct turns, and there's differing lines through every single one of them.
Yeah, certainly. It's almost as though you took Eldora, Lernerville, and Limaland, and even Kokomo, and mashed them all into one. So yeah, it's a really, really neat little track, and it's really gonna offer up some interesting racing with the various different lines. It's gonna make it quite exciting to watch, especially in the Dirt Midgets.
That it is, but we've got tonight's racing to conclude first off. We're about to go into the feature. It's going to be 50 green flag laps here at Eldora Speedway in the NASCAR trucks, and the grid is going to be as follows. It's 24 cars for this one, and it is headed up by Jaden Russell and Darcy Wilson. Best starting position, I think, for both of those guys in ODSE history. Brad O'Brien and Bradley Oldfield on the second row, with Lewis Clark and Dylan DeBono behind them. Ethan Bastian and Aaron Kelly take up the fourth row, and the top 10 is rounded out by Brenton Hobson and Clayton Tilley.
Then you're going to have it just behind them. You're going to have Kane Della and Ashton Manif, followed by John Schultz and Ari Stewart. Bob King's going around at the top 15 with Billy Ryan joining him in 16th on the same row. And then you're going to have Jacob Dixon, Lewis Hewitt, Trent Gosley, and Nathan Clark rounding at the top 20. And then Nathan Norman, Caden Brown, Hayden Vickers, Clayton Davies rounding out the 24-car field.
It's going to be a tight squeeze here at Eldora Speedway in these big, heavy NASCAR trucks. And we're looking forward to bringing every moment of it to you right here on SimSpeed TV. So, Jaden Russell starts from pole here. The winner of the first heat of the night. He knows what winning ways are. But, I'll tell you what, Darcy Wilson has shown great competitiveness as well. Brad O'Brien and Bradley Oldfield, though, they've shown incredible pace throughout the night. I would expect them to advance forward, and I'd expect the same, I think, for Lewis Hewitt and Trent Gosley down there in the midfield, starting 18th and 19th. It's going to be a tough one for them.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be a bit of a tough slog for those further down the order that do have decent pace. But that said, it is going to be a long race, so plenty of time to make up for lost ground earlier on. But we are green and we are racing.
We are indeed. There's a good start from Jaden Russell there. He protects the lead from Darcy Wilson. But in comes the number 77 of Brad O'Brien attempting the move. Didn't work out for him that time. So now Bradley Oldfield's going to try and squeeze up the inside. But down there at the very bottom is Lewis Clark. Shoves Oldfield out of the way. Sorry, that was Dylan DeBono that he made contact with as they go four wide coming into turn one. Fantastic stuff. And I just see the amount of dust being thrown up, the amount of trucks being driven in every single part of this racetrack. I almost can't keep track of what's going on. Dylan DeBono hits the inside wall, though. That's not going to be good for him. It's allowing Hodgson to come up with this one around and two around. Actually looks like two separate incidents there. Ethan Bastian had a spin and so did Billy Ryan. So the caution has immediately come out on lap 2.
Yeah, that was 6 wide at one point on the way into turn number 3 and 3 through turn 4 as well. But it looked like Billy Ryan actually clipped the inside wall on the way into turn 3 as well, and then ended up having a spin as a result from being collected. And then Ethan Bastian just having contact with, I believe it was one of the, I think it was Daniel Gow, Dylan DeBono, and possibly Hobson, but not entirely sure. But yeah, it was very, very wild in that middle of the pack.
Absolutely was. As a result of that, Hayden Vickers, I think, has been deemed at fault for spinning Mr. Bastian around. He's been given an end-of-line penalty for this next restart. So race control doing their job as usual. We got Brady Baldwin in the race director box. He's done a great service to dirt racing in the AusNZ SimSphere over the years. One of the powerhouses behind Oceanic Dirt Sim events. So the field's forming back up into a double file restart. Pace truck lights out. Going to come on in, and we're going to get racing again to begin lap 2 once more. Jaden Russell is going to take it up off the start. Trying to get under the bottom of him was Darcy Wilson, but ultimately didn't work. And Brad O'Brien holding the outside line in second as the field fans out behind them. Oh, that's O'Brien into the wall. Kelly has come together there with Clayton Tilley and the 011 as well of Lewis Clark. Right into that. Has brought out another caution.
Oh, that's created a big pile-up on the middle of 3 and 4 as well, with half the field involved in that. Nearly Bob King, one of them, involved, and a few others as well. You had Manif, Hewitt, Schultz, all involved in that.
Goodness me, let's try and dissect this then. So there's the contact up ahead. The 011 gets turned around, and it looks like Brenton Hobson there with nowhere to go. Ashton Manif, meanwhile, gets clobbered by the number 78. That's John Schultz, and there's the pile-up down on the bottom. Drivers, of course, trying to avoid it, but there wasn't much they could do.
Yeah, they certainly couldn't, and just obviously with so many cars everywhere, it was a bit hard to try and avoid all that sort of stuff. So unfortunately, there's been a bit of an incident, but everybody seems to have survived and no terminal damage by the looks of it to any of those drivers.
And the restart has been changed to single file by the race director. If there are back-to-back cautions, it's in the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events rulebook. Back-to-back cautions means single file restart, or if there is a caution in the last 10 laps. So hopefully we get a bit of a cleaner start here, Cam.
Yeah, we should get a little bit cleaner start with the fact that it is single file, and we'll have to see what happens on this restart. But certainly going to be a good advantage, at least for Jaden Russell, who's going to at least be able to control this field very, very nicely.
Yeah, he's got the ultimate advantage here. Hasn't got anyone squeezing him because of 2 rows on a restart. All he needs to do is put the power down and just jet out into the race lead that he currently has. So, starting all the way up the top as the pace truck comes in, they're going to dive down to the bottom, try and straight line the throttle application as much as they can onto the fresh dirt in the middle for the restart. Jaden Russell protects the lead very nicely. Already we're starting to see slide jobs attempted. Lewis Clark tried to get one done on Oldfield and Tilly, who are side by side coming into turn 3. Up goes Oldfield on the inside, almost coming into Dylan DeBono on the bottom down there at the bottom right of the screen, but looks like they've managed to work themselves out for the time being. Jaden Russell, though, has not managed to get away on this restart. He's being pressured massively by Wilson and O'Brien. Everyone in a line now.
Yeah, everybody sort of single file for the most part. Tilly's still trying to find a way by Oldfield and DeBono on the bottom, but just can't quite seem to have the traction on the exit of the corner, so he's going to end up slipping by. Tries another slide job, it doesn't quite work for him in the end, but so on for the lead of the race as Wilson is pressuring Russell with all sorts at the moment. Oh, a little bit of tap into the wall, but he's managed to keep it going pretty nicely.
And Bradley Oldfield executed a great slide job on Dylan DeBono. He's just going to get him back now as we ride on board with the car of Darcy Wilson. That's Jaden Russell up ahead in the Synergy Chevrolet Silverado. There's a caution out. It looks like this car spun down on the bottom. It's Aaron Kelly. Aaron Kelly has been massively disadvantaged, and the caution has been brought out. Going to take another look at that, and thanks to our friends at Modem Simulation, it looks like there was actually an incident just up ahead, and Aaron Kelly was a bit of an innocent victim. It was Oldfield and Hobson who came together off the top and just knocked into Kelly, and around he went. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, very unfortunate indeed, but he is going to gain some positions back by the looks of it, but yeah, really, really unfortunate there, as he was actually doing quite well for himself, but he's going to have to end up going through from the back of the field now.
Well, we're seeing that the amount of trucks on this circuit is really... Oh, hello. There was a bit of a tap there on Gosley from Kelly. I don't think that was intentional. But you see, just from the look of these things, they're incredibly long machines, incredibly heavy as well, front heavy, with the covered tray on the back extending the rear end. So it really results in some difficult times around Eldora. Have a look at the damage that Lewis Hewitt has at the moment. He has not had a great run so far, as Lewis is staying in the lower reaches of the top 20. It's just a lot of melee down there at the lower reaches of the grid as we form up once again for another restart. It's going to be double file because we get a few laps worth of racing in between these cautions. Pace truck pulls into the pits, and Darcy Wilson just ahead of Mr. Russell, but they get together as the green flag flies. Up the inside, Brad O'Brien shifts to the top line. Darcy Wilson tries to get both of them back.
Around.
Oh, no. That is Clayton Tilly around at the back of the field, and looks like that was an induced spin there. We'll get a Modem Simulation replay of that one, and I'm just dissecting it. Oh, it was contact with Brenton Hobson. You'll see it here off the restarts. There's Tilly on the inside, Hobson in the 88 on the outside. Tilly fires it into the corner, just comes up into Hobson, who just gives him the slightest of taps there. There wasn't really much Hobson could do. Tilly was coming up into him, but ultimately it looks like Tilly, not the beneficiary of that one.
Yes, certainly not, and did reasonably well to actually be avoided by everybody as well. So a little bit of contact with Ethan Bastion on the way by, but other than that, everybody seems to have gotten by pretty much no damage.
Well, that's the pitfall of the slide job here at Eldora, and works into the point I was just making about how long these vehicles are. You really got to pay attention to where the rear of your car is, because that can make the difference between slotting in front of your rival and getting a good whack, as we saw just happen to Clayton Tilley.
Yes, certainly, and it is one of those things, and with the fact that the track is so slick, it's making the slide job probably a little bit more prominent as well, because guys are trying to make moves and get up the order as well, because the fact that it's so probably one-lined at the moment, with the fact that the top side is so dominant. But nevertheless, we'll have to wait and see what the rest of this race shows.
It's another single file restart for this one. Back-to-back cautions once again, and hanging back from the pace car is Hayden Russell as we train our eyes on the start-finish straight here. They're staying up the top, and they'll come back down. There is the green flag, and away we go once again. That's actually a pretty good start from Dylan DeBono, pressuring Brad O'Brien, who sets the slide job up, does not execute it, though. Darcy Wilson gets him right back, and that's going to allow Hayden Russell to get away a bit further in the lead. Bradley Oldfield is going to try and get 2 for 1 there, with Brad O'Brien and Darcy Wilson up on the outside, but it's not going to be successful once again. Wilson into the wall. It doesn't look like it's hurting him too much. Oh, Brad O'Brien, big slide job, and Wilson gets him right back on the throttle application down the straight, and through goes Oldfield. He gets the 2 for 1. Are they going to get him back on the start-finish straight? Yes, they will. Didn't even get to the exit of turn 4 before that happened.
Yes, certainly. A lot of grip to sort of square or diamond the corner off, but it's certainly still not over at the front of the field. It's not over and just behind as well, with the likes of Bob King, Lewis Clark, and Harry Stewart, and everybody else really scrapping it out very, very hard. You nearly got 3 wide down the front straight. You're going to be nearly 4 wide into turn 1.
This is crazy racing. Bob King holding up the outside line there. Brenton Hobson starting to get onto the back of the top 4. There is a bit of 3 wide running. Stewart up on the outside, but DeBono and Clark getting ahead of him. Let's see what Stewart can do. He just squeezes up the inside, coming out of turn 4, and the 330's been turned around. Dylan DeBono up into the wall with massive damage, and that is the caution out once again.
Yeah, that truck is looking pretty sore and pretty second-hand at this stage, so I'd say that's probably going to be DeBono's night over, with the way that that engine is smoking.
Well, let's see how that happened. Nathan Clark, you'll see him coming up the outside of Dylan DeBono there in the grey and yellow truck. He saw a space to put around the outside, but DeBono was already moving up onto the line, so 2 trucks just coming together and making a whole heap of a mess. Here's another view of it.
Yeah, certainly you're going to get a pretty good view of it here, being on board with DeBono. You can just see comes up to the high side, bit of contact, around he goes, and into the wall, doing a 360, and then gets collected on the way by someone. So, yeah, not too ideal there for DeBono, and that truck is definitely not going to be the prettiest thing on the grid at the moment.
Yeah, certainly not. We'll see what happens to Nathan Clark as a result of that. But Dylan DeBono, not a happy camper at the moment, racing in the top 10 and now well outside of it. So Nathan Clark then up into 9th as a result of all of that. And looks like it may just be another double file restart here as Dylan DeBono gets waved around the pace car. He's going to get his lap back and still be in the running here. There's only been 1 retirement from this one, and that is Clayton Tilley. He's at a standstill in the pits right now.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's got a free fast repair to use, with obviously being quite a tough challenge this combo. So he's managed to get back out there, has DeBono, and used his fast repair, so we'll see what he can do from the back. But it's certainly going to make things quite the challenge, with the fact that we're back to green flag racing.
We are indeed, and Hayden Russell and Darcy Wilson sticking down to the bottom on the start-finish straight where the fresh dirt is. Unfortunately, losing momentum at the exit of the turn. Bradley Oldfield up the inside of Darcy Wilson. Brad O'Brien's going to follow him through, or at least attempt to anyway. even there on the middle, there's no grip left. You see how much the slick extends across the length of the racetrack. Oldfield all the way down to the inside to try and get the position on Darcy Wilson, but once again, nothing doing, and Brad O'Brien getting really acquainted with the wall as Brenton Hobson then pressures him. But look who's coming in from behind. Harry Stewart right onto the back of this front group now, along with Bob King too.
Yeah, certainly Bob King starting to get up in with the mix at the front, and it's definitely going on just in front of him as well. And we've got another caution.
That's Aaron Kelly, who's been turned around, and he's being collected by Kane Della. Kane Della on his side, and I think that's going to be a retirement there. We'll get a quick modem simulation replay of that one. A bit of a coming together in the middle of the field. So Aaron Kelly, see what happens to him. Bit of side-by-side contact down the start, finish straight, up through into turn one, and oh, there we go. And Kane Della had absolutely nowhere to go. Right there in the midst of that with Aaron Kelly and the number 8 of Nathan Clark. This is the onboard from Mr. Della. You see the two of them come together up ahead, but there's so much dust he could barely see what was going on, and all of a sudden, there we go, bam! Instantly, KO, and that's Kane Della out.
Yeah, and certainly probably not the way that he'd hoped to be ending at this race either, with the fact that he's ended up on his lid as a result. So, fortunately, he's going to be in the pit lane and multiple laps down.
Well, we've got a few unhappy campers here tonight, but very happy campers up at the front of the field, because Jaden Russell and Darcy Wilson have held the top 2 positions pretty much the whole way through. But Bradley Oldfield and Brad O'Brien really starting to pressure for those top 2 positions. This is going to be a great lead fight when we get back to racing. Brenton Hobson has shown some flashes of brilliance as well in 5th place. He's getting pressured by Harry Stewart and Bob King. But either way, it looks like there's at least 7 cars in contention for this race win. It's another single file restart for these guys as the pace truck comes in and Jaden Russell goes early. It looks like Darcy Wilson timed it really well off the start. He was able to stay right with Jaden Russell. So into turn 1 and 2 they go once again. Bradley Oldfield gets the run, coming onto the back straight and tries putting the move there on Darcy Wilson, but once again, it's not working. You need to be on that outside line if you want the grip.
Yeah, you certainly do, especially right up against that outside wall too, right up on the cushion, and it seems to be working for Jane Russell at the moment. Can't quite manage to get on bike and Darcy Wilson, but Oldfield is putting a lot of pressure on the back of Wilson as well, and Brad O'Brien is right there or thereabouts too, and so is Brenton Hobson and Harry Stewart, so it's a proper 6-car fight for the lead of this race, and all it's going to take is one small slip up from the guys at the front, which they have come together down the back straight.
There we go, and Bradley Oldfield, opportunistic, slips on through. Darcy Wilson has managed to keep it going, but back into 3rd. Now Jaden Russell versus Bradley Oldfield for the lead of the race. This is fantastic battling. Wilson up into the wall again. They come together. Oh, Brad O'Brien had to take some avoiding action there, but Bradley Oldfield just ahead on the entry into 3 and 4. It looks like he might have just covered him. Maybe. No, not quite. He has scored first across the line, but Jaden Russell is going to take this to the last hurdle.
Yeah, he's certainly not going to give this one up easy as Jaden Russell. He's going to make Oldfield work for it as much as he possibly can, but Wilson's now all over the back of Russell here, and Brad O'Brien not too far behind, but there's a caution.
Oh, yeah, there's a crash in the back, and that was quite some way back. Who is that? That is Lewis Clark. Poor Lewis Clark, already involved in a couple of incidents here today, and take a look at a modem simulation replay of what happened to him. So it was in turn 4. He slid up the circuit, and it was right where Caden Brown is, and the number 97 there you see up the top of the circuit. So Clark fires it in, rear end contact with the number 97, and around he goes.
And then Jacob Dixon left with nowhere to go and plows straight head on into him, unfortunately. So not going to be what he wanted at all for both drivers, but is what it is.
It indeed is what it is. And for Nathan Clark, it is going to be an end of line, potentially, or at least way down in the field. So Della and Tilly from the pits watch all of this going on. And I get the feeling that we're going to be staying with these single file restarts for some time to come. And it's gone on quite a while, this race has. We are not even technically at half race distance. A reminder that we're using the manual lap counter software for this one. And in sim, the race length is set to a maximum of 100 laps. So if we keep getting cautions like this, we're going to max out the lap count. Let's just wait and see. Oldfield in the lead, though, takes the restart. Jaden Russell switches immediately to the inside, trying to get some traction. Hasn't worked out for him into the turn, and almost up into him goes Darcy Wilson, trying fervently to protect that third spot now from Brad O'Brien, who has the run around the outside, barely a tyre wide, I think, as that strip up the top. They come together, and O'Brien into the wall. That's going to give the advantage to Brenton Hobson down on the inside. He's going to try and slide one up the inside of Wilson and O'Brien, but he's not going to succeed, loses momentum, and the two of them carry on. Bradley Oldfield starting to jet away and create a gap as Brad O'Brien goes for a massive slide job on Jaden Russell, and it hasn't worked out for him, but that's going to set in motion a sequence of events that may just get him that second place.
Yeah, it may very well do. There's contact between the two of them. Wilson getting in there involved, and Russell's around, and so's O'Brien.
Oh, no. The last two positions in the top three now properly up for grabs with different players this time. The caution is out once more. I really hope we don't max out the lap count here because I want to see 50 green flag laps of racing. Let's get another view of that. So O'Brien and Russell. O'Brien goes for the slide job then. And a bit of contact between the two of them up at the front. And the number 5 came into it and concertinaed them into each other. And ultimately that is how things stood for those drivers. So Darcy Wilson might be in a little bit of trouble thanks to that. Lewis Hewitt, on the other hand, he's not had a bad run. He almost looped it with this caution. So O'Brien came down and Hewitt actually got a bit of a tag from behind as he went through that incident. Well held from Hewitt. He's actually moved up into 11th place now. Considering where he was before, that's pretty good.
He certainly hasn't had the best of nights so far, and he's managed to recover quite nicely. He started in 18th, remember, so he's moved his way up the field quite nicely at this rate and is going to be on for a pretty decent result regardless.
Brad O'Brien takes the fast repair and is back out onto the circuit, but outside the top 20, it's going to be a hard slog for him after fighting for those top 3 positions. So it's Bradley Oldfield, Jaden Russell, and Brenton Hobson, your top 3, with Darcy Wilson behind them in P4. Caden Brown up into P5 now. So Brown weathering well the incident with Nathan Clark just before. And we'll be getting another restart very soon. Lights are off on the pace truck, and Bradley Oldfield in the number 51 is going to lead them away here, down to the inside. Russell goes a bit lower once again, but now Brenton Hobson, his Synergy Sim Racing teammate, is right there for the top 3. This is going to be an interesting battle as we're going to complete half race distance at the end of this lap. The top 6 fight still continues, though. Harry Stewart right at the back of this, and it's really a top 7 battle because Bob King is still right with these guys.
Yeah, certainly. You can't discount anyone in the top 7, if not the top 10, for that matter, with the fact that they're all so close on pace and all so good, such good drivers as well. So, yeah, it's really a guessing game at this point. Wilson in the wall ever so slightly, but managed to recover it. Bob King doing a half spin in the background, but barely hanging on to it.
And he's lost 3 positions, maybe 4 out of that one. It's now Dixon, Gosley, Davies, and also Lewis Hewitt trying to squeeze on ahead of Bob King here. Have a look up the top as well, because that's Nathan Norman trying to get it done. Meanwhile, oh my goodness, that's a big smash there between Darcy Wilson and who was that? Was that Caden Brown? It was. Fortunately, they both managed to keep it going, and we are caution-free, but big damage now to the front of Brown's car.
And big damage to Wilson's car as well after that. That's not going to be helping him at all. And it was kind of his own doing as well, with the fact that he got loose off the turn and then ended up pretty much slamming into the side of Hayden Brown, but both managing to recover it quite nicely. But I don't know how any of these drivers can see anything with the amount of dirt and dust there is, but we've got another caution.
Yeah, we have indeed, and it looks like it was for Lewis Hewitt. So we're going to see then what's happened to him. Hewitt going down to the inside, almost tagging the inside wall. Now, what's going on down here? He's thrown it in, and oh, there we go. Yep. And, oh, so close to being collected. Oh, it just keeps happening. My goodness. How did Lewis Hewitt not get a massive smash there? How did he not get cleaned up?
I have no idea. That must have been a lot of luck on his side there not to get collected by DEBONO, and whoever else was on the top side of the racetrack. I think it was Schultz or Manif nearly collected him on the way by, so very, very lucky there to get away with that one. But yeah, not what you want to be doing, especially with where he was. He's ended up dropping himself way back down the order again after clipping that inside wall.
Yeah, back down to 21st position is Lewis Hewitt now, thanks to that. But Bradley Oldfield still holds station up the top of the field. The pace truck's going to come in. He's leaving it's not coming in just yet. We've got one lap left, but I'm seeing that Oldfield is leaving quite the gap to the pace truck here.
Yeah, it's quite odd that he's leaving such a big gap back to the pace track. I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do, whether he's trying to time a restart or something here, but certainly checking everybody up, that's for sure.
Well, we'll see what happens at the final corner, because once again, everyone's sticking to the very top of the circuit to make the run to the finish line as straight as possible. Pace truck rounds the final couple of turns and makes a hard left then to come into the pits here at Eldora on the inside of the circuit. And Bradley Oldfield's cue is hit. Away he goes. And we are green once again as we come round to restart lap 30. Brenton Hobson doing very well to stay in third position, pressuring the back of Russell. Down the inside, though, Jacob Dixon with the mother of all slide jobs. Oh, really well done to avoid an incident there, all of those drivers. Harry Stewart and Darcy Wilson get back ahead of him, but you can tell that Jacob Dixon wants a proper go at a top three. Speaking of the top three, oh, hang on. Speaking of nothing, we've got another caution out. That was pretty instant, and looks like we missed the cause of that one.
Bob King having a moment in turn number 2 by the looks of it was the cause, and it was contact between himself and I believe Aaron Kelly.
All right, let's have another look at this then. King down on the inside, and oh, there we go. It's another case of a car coming up, and there's already a car on the outside.
Yeah, a little bit of an odd situation there for Bobby. Would have thought he would have been a little bit more aware of what's going on around him and not really pulling a slide job like that, but probably no real surprise with the fact that we've only got about 20 laps to go, so you're trying to make up as many positions as possible, and with this track being the way it is, it's probably no surprise that you've got to get out. Well, the elbow is out, and unfortunately it hasn't quite worked there for Bob King.
Thing you got to consider as well is the way the race has played out. We've had very short green flag periods. So I guess the thinking now is, well, a caution can come out at practically any time. So if you want to get the move on, you got to make sure that you're in front when the caution comes out. So that's probably another effort that the drivers are making.
Yeah, certainly. And that's one of the things that's going to, as a driver, going to change your mindset is, you know, you've got to make moves as quickly as possible rather than wait and be a little bit more patient than you typically would, especially in these sort of situations where you've got those short green flag laps. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here in these last 20 or so laps.
Look at how slick the entire circuit is now. There's only a little strip of fresh clay down at the bottom through the turns, and we're not seeing any signs of anyone going for that. As we go to the green flag once again, another good start from Oldfield. Jaden Russell is right with him, though, and they fan out into turn 1 once again. Everyone feeding the right rear to the wall. That's going to be a half spin from the number 3 of Jacob Dixon. Manages to gather it up, though, and keep going. It's a big, huge fight, though, for the positions just inside the top 10. Trent Gosley just getting ahead of Clayton Davies. That's a big slide there from, I think that was Nathan Norman. Gets down into Billy Ryan. Ryan holds on to it in the number 33. But Nathan Norman then, right in the midst of an absolute melee of a battle pack, Bob King has been turned around there. And that was due to Aaron Kelly that happened. The caution back out once again. King is still rolling, though. Very damaged all the same. So that's another very short green flag run in this feature.
And then it was the same drivers that came together as well, with it being Aaron Kelly and Bob King. So not too ideal there, and Bob's probably not going to be happy about that, nor is Aaron. But nevertheless, it's happened as it is.
And that's how it happened. King was very sideways on the exit of the corner. Kelly was already gearing up for the exit, so just went straight into the side of King and helped him around. A bit of engine smoke there from this particular car. That was Dylan DeBono. He was involved in that smash, just cleaned up King, and that is front-end contact there for DeBono, which means that the engine has blown. I don't know if DeBono has a fast repair left available to him, so we're hearing that he does. So ultimately, it looks like they're going to make it back out there. John Schultz is carrying heavy damage as well. He's decided to come in for a fast repair too. It looks like we've got a few cars in the pits then. Jacob Dixon, John Schultz, and Bob King. They come in and take their fast repairs, but we're just hearing that DeBono does not have a fast repair in hand, and he's been given an end-of-line... No, he is not. The engine has actually just popped there for Dylan DeBono. That is a retirement for him. Aaron Kelly's been given an end-of-line penalty, I was about to say, for that incident with Bob King. So the amount of retirements from this race come up to 4 then. Dylan DeBono joins Lewis Clark, Kane Della, and Clayton Tilley in the pits for the rest of this feature.
Yeah, but the fact that it's been pretty argy-bargy and a bit of a messy feature, it's actually not too bad in terms of retirements. So good to see that there's still at least 20 cars out there. But we are back to green flag racing once again, with Oldfield leading the field away quite nicely.
Yeah, he is indeed. Brenton Hobson again on the back of Jaden Russell. You probably think it's only a matter of time before he goes for the lunge, and it's a great exit up the inside, but once they get onto the slick, there is no grip left. Big slide job from Harry Stewart trying to get ahead of Caden Brown, but has to pull it up. Hobson continues to chase for second position. They still have Caden Brown right behind them there. Darcy Wilson not out of contention either. He is in 6th place behind Harry Stewart.
Yeah, certainly. You can't discount any of these drivers at all, especially those inside the top 10 who could easily grab a solid haul of points here and a solid result if the lot ahead of them come together in some shape or form. And Hobson going to be punted.
Oh, no!
And that's going to check the field up.
Yeah, and it's going to bring out the caution as well. Billy Ryan getting spun around. Oh, the number 96 as well of Nathan Norman. Lewis Hewitt going backwards with a blown engine, it seems. So I think that might be another retirement. So we got a lot to dissect here with this replay. Seems like 4 or 5 things have happened at once. Where do we start? Brenton Hobson and Jaden Russell once again coming up and getting tagged in the rear. What about Hewitt? Oh, he collected Billy Ryan, and having already spun there was Nathan Norman.
Billy Ryan looks like he just made contact with Norman, and as a result, he went. And yeah, nothing Hewitt could have done there. But rule number 1 being broken by the 2 Synergy Sim Racing teammates of Hobson and Russell is don't hit your teammate, and that's happened.
Yeah, incidentally, the 2nd and 3rd rules of racing are also don't hit your teammate. So it's going to be an interesting debrief there for the Synergy guys, but it seems like with the messiness of the track at the moment, they would have come together in that situation anyway. So they might just chalk it up to low grip and quite a bit of melee around the circuit. So one more lap then behind the pace truck. Oldfield leaving a bigger gap than ever to the pace vehicle, which is interesting to see. But the pace truck is going to come on in at the end of this lap, and hopefully we're going to get a long green flag run here. Lewis Hewitt bringing it into the pits and becoming the 5th retirement from this feature as Oldfield gears up for another restart. Excuse me for the pauses. Bit of air coming up as we go green once more. Oldfield supreme in the lead. With Brenton Hobson out of contention, that means that Caden Brown has a proper run here at 2nd place. But have a look at Harry Stewart and Darcy Wilson just behind them as well. They are fighting hard for 4th and 5th. Darcy tries going up the inside, down the start-finish straight, and gets it done. There's another car around in the background, but he's off the racing line and managed to get going again. It looks like it was Brad O'Brien that happened to. Oh, the cautions come out anyway. I think there was another incident on track somewhere.
Yeah,
Hayden Vickers.
Yeah, Hayden Vickers has come together with, I think that's Jacob Dixon by the looks of it. He's had a moment of his own, and he's had contact from behind in the form of Aaron Kelly, who had actually been making contact with Nathan Clark just before, so that's not gone too particularly well there.
Yeah, they came together on the entry, and Jacob Dixon got absolutely cleaned up there, full-on side hit. That's some neck-breaking stuff right there, so big damage for Hayden. That's a blown engine. We'll see if he has a fast repair in hand so he can get that done. Well, there's O'Brien spun on the start-finish straight, and the coming together between the two cars up ahead, and man, Hayden Vickers, I think, well, he could potentially have gone a bit further up, but when you're approaching at that rate of speed, it's difficult to make those split-second decisions.
Probably would have been fine as well if Dixon didn't bounce off the inside wall too, so just a little bit of an unfortunate event there, and he's going to have to drop down the order as a result.
Brenton Hobson back up into 7th spot now, down on the inside, carrying a lot of damage on the front of that thing. But still running in the top 10, he has a chance to make it back through. Billy Ryan, though, has jumped on into the pits, and I think that's going to be another retirement. Aaron Kelly, meanwhile, has just blown his engine as well. A lot of creeping damage here. A quick replay of that before we go green. And pop, there it goes for Aaron Kelly out of this race. In comes the pace truck, meanwhile, as we go back to live pictures, and Bradley Oldfield's going to lead them away once more. Caden Brown managing to secure 2nd place over Jaden Russell just before the caution came out. So it's Caden Brown versus Bradley Oldfield now for the lead of the race. Russell tries protecting against Stewart. Darcy Wilson as well, trying to get back past the number 11. Clayton Davies right in on this as well, and Brenton Hobson making moves to try and take back a potential top 3. 10 laps to go.
We can get these 10 laps done and dusted as quickly as possible, and under green as well, but it's certainly looking like those top 2 have it checked out at the moment. But Russell's got his hands full with Harry Stewart as well as Darcy Wilson. It's Wilson tagging at the back of Harry Stewart as they head on the way down towards turn number 1, and Wilson trying to look to the inside. Not quite going to be able to make a move done, though.
Yeah, the middle of the corner seems to be the worst place to be at the moment. There's just no grip there, and you lose all of your momentum. But Jaden Russell has got an absolute army behind him, and Harry Stewart going for the move up the inside for 3rd place. They almost come together, just millimeters away from making contact. Meanwhile, behind them, Darcy Wilson with another great run, and Clayton Davies has managed to pass Brenton Hobson on exit, so he's up another position as well.
Again, there has the man himself, but nevertheless, you can just see how dusty it is, and everybody behind really struggling for vision with how much dust is pouring off.
These car around, 2 cars
around.
That's Ethan Bastion and Bob King that have come together. So the caution back out. This is going to be a proper dash to the finish. Let's have a look at what happened between King and Mr. Who? My goodness. Pace truck is right in the wrong place. Bastion, it looks like it was full on send it into the turn, and they just came together. Little bit of rear end contact, and King helped Bastion around there. Let's have a look at the top view. Well, Bastion gets into the wall slightly and already starts the slide, and King just helps him around.
With nowhere to really go there, unfortunately, and just ended up having to hit the side of the car in front of him. But nevertheless, you shouldn't be too far away from finishing this race now.
Yeah, well, that won't happen before Ethan Bastion, unfortunately, joins the ever-growing list of retirements we've got here. So currently, our retirements, Bastion, Aaron Kelly, Billy Ryan, Lewis Hewitt, Dylan DeBono, Lewis Clark, Kane Della, and Clayton Tilley. A lot of competitive drivers in that list that probably would have been in contention had the night gone a little differently.
Certainly, if it had have gone a little bit differently, it would have been quite a shaken up order, but it is the way that it is and the way that the cookie crumbles sometimes. So we'll see what happens on this restart and whether we're going to see a possible change for the lead here as Caden Brown is all over the back of Brayley Oldfield, crawling under the pace behind him.
Yeah, Caden Brown looking to line up this start perfectly. He's looking for the faintest sign of acceleration here from Bradley Oldfield. So on board with Oldfield for the restart. Away they go. Caden Brown has actually timed that really well. Got a little bit of a run on Oldfield coming into turn one on the clean dirt down at the bottom. But Oldfield to the wall. Both of them come together. They keep rolling though. Fantastic from both of those drivers. How was that not a massive crash? Have a look at Jaden Russell, though, protecting third place from Harry Stewart. Stewart's got the run onto the start finish straight. Little bit of contact between the two of them. Darcy Wilson, it's a concertina effect. So the number 50 of Clayton Davies and Brenton Hobson as well into this battle as we have 5 laps to go at the end of this lap.
This is going to get real crazy with the fact that you've pretty much got the entire top 10 all over the leaders at the moment, and there's a car half into the wall into Brenton Hobson and Harry Stewart, both managing to recover it, and they're in the wall again, and that's going to be a caution.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. No, actually, Stewart's managed to keep rolling. He did a full-on 360 and kept going. So that was Trent Gosley and Clayton Davies who were involved in that one. But Caden Brown into the lead of this race. Oh, the caution's just come out. There's been another incident just behind them. That's at the exit of turn 4. And who is involved in that? Trent Gosley for one. There's going to be a few more too once we have a look at the replay. Harry Stewart was involved in that one too, perhaps.
And looks like a few. Brad O'Brien, Jacob Dixon, Trent Gosley, John Schultz, Harry Stewart, all involved in that one.
It looks like it was started. Trent Gosley tried to go around the outside of Brad O'Brien, but they just made contact with each other and forced themselves up to the top of the racetrack. The cars behind them, like John Schultz, Jacob Dixon, Harry Stewart, had absolutely nowhere to go there. So when we go green, there will be 3 laps to go for these drivers. Looking forward to seeing what this final 3-lap dash is like. Caden Brown, once he got the lead from Harry Stewart, just focused on hitting his marks, and seems like he got it together. So Caden Brown now in the box seat to win this one, but can Oldfield or even Russell come back at him?
Yeah, that is the big question as to whether they can come back at him, and with this caution, it's going to help them be able to do that a little bit easier, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Well, lights on the pace truck for a few more moments. They will switch off at this moment to signify that we're going to go green at the end of this formation lap. And as always, it's another single file restart because it seems like the double files at the very start just caused a bit too much chaos. Nonetheless, it seems like chaos has reigned supreme here at Eldora Speedway tonight. We've had quite a mixed up field. We've had quite a few drivers come away unhappy where they would have been in contention, but at the end of it, it's Caden Brown's race to lose as the pace truck pulls into the pits and Brown wastes no time getting on the throttle. He is away. They're all
Hobson.
Hobson blowing engine. Looks like he just glanced off the wall there on the inside, and he's going to be stopped. That might be another caution coming out instantly. Not quite sure. But 3 to go for these guys. Caden Brown Up into the wall, Bradley Oldfield trying to pressure with Jaden Russell still there in 3rd place. Darcy Wilson keeps up 4th place. We've got 2 laps to go now with Oldfield still trying to pressure the back of Caden Brown. The slide job is where it's going to be made, and Oldfield goes for it. He goes for it down at the final couple turns. Brown up into the wall, almost riding the wall around. It's helping him. The pace. It's the final lap now for Caden Brown. Have a look at this fantastic drive as the caution is out. I think that might have been the finish. So we were told that there was going to be another lap, but they've called it early there. Your top 3, Caden Brown, Bradley Oldfield, and Jaden Russell. Goodness me, what a race and what a drive from Caden. To come from 22nd on the grid, I mean, come on.
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't have predicted that Brown would have been able to make it from the back of the field all the way to winning this race. So, absolutely awesome drive there by Caden Brown to end up taking this one out. Not too bad of a drive from Darcy Wilson either, but what an absolute wet race that was.
Yeah, for sure. It was excellent from all of those drivers, and wow. I mean, the obviously there were a lot of crashes, but you know, big excitement, and all the same, the racing that we saw in between those cautions was incredible. The amount of skill being put on display by these drivers, you know, in and out from every single corner, 5-way, maybe even 6-way battles, and of course, briefly going 6 wide in one of the heats. It was a brilliant night of racing here at Eldora. And now we're just waiting on the drivers to come in and have a chat to us, potentially. We did have a chat to Bradley Oldfield last week at Kokomo Speedway. Hopefully he comes back around again, and we'll have a chat to potentially Caden Brown and Jaden Russell as well. It was quite a chaotic event, Cam, but I mean, I guess now is a good opportunity to briefly preview the next round of the Wheelman Challenge, which is the midget at Weed Sport. Great combination.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to seeing what's going to be happening at Weed Sport and what's going to come of that race. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how it goes and who's going to come out on top. It's a very, very well-known car and a very popular car amongst a lot of these drivers is the midget. So everybody's going to be on pretty much equal footing almost.
Absolutely. It's going to be quite the interesting round next week, but our top 3 are now in the booth, and we're going to get ready to have a chat now to our feature winner, Caden Brown. Welcome to the commentary box, Caden. I think that's the first time we've taken you in the booth for a race win. It was certainly hard fought.
Exactly right. I haven't got much experience with these trucks, so it kind of showed in time trials where we qualified mid-pack and then crashed down the heat, but then we were able to charge from, I think, 9th in the B, got into a transfer then. Pretty exciting feature race. Come from 21 there, and we just kind of bought out time and just try to avoid the wrecks, which we did, and then kind of was a bit one lane on the top, so we kind of had to get a bit up on the wheel, make some moves, to take no prisoners type thing. These things have fenders for a reason, so you got to use them right, and that's what we did. We come home with the win.
Yeah, good point there, Caden. In terms of the amount of cautions that we saw in the feature, this track really slicks up quite a bit through the turns, particularly in these trucks, because you have so many slide jobs happening. And obviously that works into the stability of these things and how likely a wreck is.
Yeah, exactly right. Obviously, most of the people in the field obviously race late models, midgets, or sprint cars on this game. So coming to race a truck, it's completely different. It's really hard to truck slide jobs in these trucks, and just to stop them from spinning out and clean air is actually also difficult. So yeah, I think coming into this night, everyone knew that there was going to be wrecks. So I think it was just had to kind of pay our time, just wait for the wrecks, try not to get into them. A few of our teammates got into wrecks, which is a bit unfortunate, but we were able to keep our nose clean and be up the pointy end when it mattered and make the move when it mattered.
Yep, and it certainly mattered there. So, race win here at Eldora Speedway. Looking forward to the rest of the season. We're now 2 rounds down, Caden, and we asked the top 3 this last week. Future rounds of the season. Is there a round that jumps out to you, one that you think you're going to be particularly successful in, or a combination that you just like?
I think definitely the midgets. I love my midget racing in the game, and I normally get good results in in other series. So I'm looking forward to that one. And I think I had a bit of a blown opportunity last week at Kokomo. I normally think I'm quite good in the 410 long wing stuff. So to crash on the feature was a bit of a bummer, but I'm happy. This is a really cool series to be able to explore different tracks and different divisions. So I think it probably shows the versatility of each driver, and it kind of shows who's the best overall driver. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series. But yeah, the midgets are definitely one I'm keeping an eye on and thinking I can capitalise on the points in that round.
Well, we'll see what happens next week. Before we let you go, Caden, anyone that you'd like to thank from your garage?
I'd just like to thank all the boys back at DMS SimSports. Obviously, we all contribute to the real life racing quite a bit. So to be able to come into this game and have a bunch of fun and get good results is awesome. And can't thank my teammates enough. Dale in particular for spotting me and giving me plenty of tips on how to drive these things. He's normally handy when we do a race when it comes to trucks at Eldora. So big hats off to him and all the other boys, and then our sponsors, MG Contracting and Bullseye Tipping.
Caden Brown, feature winner and in style here at Eldora Speedway. The next driver we're going to talk to, Cam, second place Bradley Oldfield. You were stood by with him.
Yeah, it was not quite the win that you probably hoped for in the end, mate, but you still got a second place, which in a pretty chaotic race.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a bit disappointing in the end. Really thought I was one of the legitimate fast cars on track. Yeah, just knew I needed to get to the front early to keep out of trouble, and definitely felt fast, but yeah, just couldn't hold on in the end.
Well, with it being the race that it ended up being for you, did you think that it was going to have as many cautions and as much chaos as it did, or did you think it was going to be a little bit more cleaner than what we ended up having?
Oh no, I definitely thought it was going to be that bad. Can always count on a couple bunnies down the back to ruin it for the rest, but yeah, just pretty much you just got to try and keep in as much of a rhythm as what you can, and do the best of what you get given.
Well, we head to Weed Sport next week for round at number 3 in the midget. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, hopefully people will drive a bit more with their heads during that one. Midget's more familiar with a lot of people, so hopefully people get better caliber drivers and people who know how to drive in the slick conditions. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Always been pretty good around there, so should be good.
Well, before we let you go, just any thanks and any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, just all the guys back at United for all their support. They helped me out, give me unreal amount of help, and just a couple of sponsors, KCOD Cleaning, Origin Graphics, 87 Creative, Ultimate Dirt TV, JO Productions Media, Brady for putting on the league, does a sweet job. You guys for doing the stream as always, and yeah, that's about it.
Well, there you have it, Reese. Your second place finisher, and I believe you're going to be standing by with our final interviewee.
Indeed, I am. Third place, Jaden Russell. Welcome, Jaden. It was a great night for you all up. Yes, you fell from a pole position to third in the feature, but in general, I reckon that was a very strong night for you.
It's good to start off the night. Pole position, obviously something I didn't expect, but for cars I haven't really ran before, it was a good night. Obviously, the two blokes that beat me were very quick cars, so I can't be too disappointed.
Well, I mean, you held up a massive charge from the pack behind you. You were battling with the likes of Harry Stewart, Brad O'Brien, Jacob Dixon, Brenton Hobson, all of those power players. So it turned out that you had a pretty good handle on that truck, especially in those really slick conditions in the feature.
It's good. Started to die off a bit towards the end. Had to try and hold a few people off more than I would have liked to, but it was a good race. Shame a few yellows stopped some good racing, but...
Can I just ask you quickly about the incident with Brenton Hobson? Of course, teammates coming together is something that you like to avoid, but just looked like that contact with Hobbo was just a consequence of the nature of the track at that time.
Definitely not the person I wanted to hit, but it was just one of them things. I was kind of blindsided watching the guys in front of me. All the dust flicked up on the track. I just didn't see him try and make the move, so...
Well, nonetheless, you've come around with a third place here at Eldora, and looks like being set up well for the rest of the season. You say that you haven't driven the trucks often. What do you drive the most often out of the rounds to come?
This will be the biggest one for me, I reckon, at Volusia. It's a good track, good car. Hopefully I can get a good result there.
Well, we'll see what happens at Volusia Speedway Park. Before we let you go, Jayden, anyone that you'd like to thank? Who gets it done for you?
It's everyone back at Synergy Sim Racing that's helped me out over the last couple months. Made me improve my pace a whole lot, and all the sponsors for the team. So big thanks to them.
That's Jayden Russell there, third place here in the feature at Eldora. And that, Cam, once again, brings to an end proceedings for tonight. It was some great racing here at Eldora. The feature went on for a while with the amount of cautions we had, but ultimately it was just fun chaos.
Yeah, it certainly was. It looked like it might have been okay with the way the heats were going, and then it sort of all went downhill, but we got a good finish in the end. So, yeah, can't complain in the end, but looking forward to seeing what next week's going to have.
Yes, definitely a shaken-up championship as well. Next week, we're going to Weed Sport Raceway in the Dirt Midgets, so be sure to catch that this time next Thursday night here on SimSpeed TV. From all of us, a big thank you for watching. A big thanks to Buffalo Motors, to Oceanic Dirt Sim Events for their support of this series. My name's Reese Gardner, Cameron Dance alongside me in the commentary box, Jake Kennedy on cameras making everything happen behind the scenes. From all of us here, it's bye for now, but not forever.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god!
Oh.
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get involved!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?